Okay, Katie, so we've just done an activity where we've sorted some stationary items into different groups based on their characteristics.
Yes.
Yeah, and just like we've done that, scientists do the same thing with living things. So they divide them up based on their characteristics. Firstly, they divide them into kingdoms. So, for example, plant kingdom and animal kingdom. They then take that kingdom and divide them into phylums, and then they, from that, group them into classes, and the different classes get divided into orders, and then into separate families, and then into their genus, and finally individual species. Okay, so the further you come along that taxonomy, the more characteristics that the living things are going to have in common, and the more specific it's going to be.
Yep.
Okay? So if I show you these pictures of some different dogs, would you say that they were all the same species?
No, because they are all different breeds of dogs.
Yeah, so they're all different breeds of dogs, so they don't have many characteristics in common, do you think? No? So they do look different, but they are in fact the same species, okay? They actually have enough in common to be able to interbreed with each other, and that is scientists' first rule of something being a species, being able to interbreed with each other. Now, there are some different species that interbreed with each other, such as lions and tigers breed together, and horses and donkeys. But when those animals breed together, their offspring aren't able to breed further generations, so they're actually infertile, which means that they can't have their own offspring. And that's scientists' second rule for something being a species. So first off, it needs to be able to interbreed, and second, their offspring need to be fertile.
Yep.
Okay, so with dogs, they can all interbreed, and their offspring are always fertile. So how then did they all come to look so different? Well, it didn't really happen naturally. Humans did this. So thousands of years ago, it all started off with grey wolves, and the humans domesticated these dogs that were hanging around campsites, and domesticated means tamed them.
Yep.
And just like there are with anything, I'll use people for example. They all had different little traits, I guess. So some were tall, some were shorter, some were big and strong, some might have been smart. We've got here one that's aggressive. So what humans did was they chose specific dogs that had a certain characteristic and bred them for a specific purpose. So say they wanted their campsite guarded, which dog do you think, or wolf do you think they might have chosen to breed with to get some good guard dogs? Aggressive one, yeah. And if they wanted a dog to do some work, so pulling sleighs maybe, or you know, helping them move heavy things, which one do you think they might have used?
Probably the big and strong.
The big and strong one? Yeah, I think so. And if they wanted just like a companion to have as a bit of a pet, what sort of characteristic do you think they might have looked for?
Playful and friendly.
Playful and friendly, okay, great. And that's exactly what they did. And gradually as they did that, they separated the dogs. So naturally the dogs of the world just bred with each other, but the humans said, no, we're just going to breed these ones together because we want this certain type of dog, okay? And over thousands of years, it's led to all the hundreds of breeds of dogs that we have now. So I've got a few different breeds of dogs down here. So I have a Doberman here, which is a good guard dog. How do you think they might have got from the wolves to having a Doberman?
Probably breed the aggressive one.
Yeah, the aggressive one. And somewhere along the track too, because see how the Dobermans are mostly black, so possibly they might have found that the black ones were more scary and intimidating, so they've chosen to keep breeding with those colours, and any ones that were lighter, they might have, you know, disregarded them. I have a greyhound here. How do you think they might have gone from wolves to a greyhound?
Probably from the long-legged.
The tall, long-legged ones, so they just kept breeding those ones. Great. And that's how, you know, it happened over a very long period of time. So all dogs are the same species, they just all look different, okay? And we did that. So if someone said to you, are dogs all the same species, or why they're all the same species, how would you explain that?
Because if they're the same species, they have to have something in common.
Yeah.
And they have to be able to breed with each other.
Yeah.
And then the generations from them have to breed with each other to get more.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. Alright.